Hi, it's Edie here, coming to you live from the home office in San Antonio, Texas. I help stressed out people own their lives through developing powerful self-care practices, also known as habits. Today I'd like to talk about fatigue and fatigues. So fatigue is when we're overtired. It comes from a lot of different things. One is a poor diet. Another is not getting enough sleep, overwork, overstressed. When we have issues in our lives that are difficult to cope with, it can make us just overtired. And fatigue is a factor in poor choices. But there's two different kinds of fatigue that I'd like to talk about specifically today. The first is compassion fatigue. Now, my work in the past has been with people who have experienced a lot of pain, a lot of trauma. I was 14 years in the headset, working in 911 and answering calls for service for people who were experiencing the absolute worst that life could offer. Then I went to school and became an addictions counselor, and I worked with people who had experienced and were trying to cope with the worst that life has to offer. And then I became a chaplain and worked in a children's home where I worked with teenagers who've had awful things happen in their lives, the worst that life has to offer. So I have lots of experience dealing with other people's pain. And what I've learned over the years, what I've experienced over the years, what I've come through over the years has a name. It's called compassion fatigue. The symptoms of compassion fatigue are very, very much like symptoms of PTSD. As a matter of fact, it was probably the same physiological reaction. The biggest difference is in the genesis, how they began. So PTSD is when we experience a trauma that makes us believe that our life is forever changed. And we don't have the ability to process it. We don't have the margin in our lives for a compassionate witness, an empathetic witness to help us through it. Compassion fatigue is dealing with other people's pain, and it has the same effect on us. We become sad, depressed, angry, short-tempered. We can develop physical problems. We can get sick from it. It just deteriorates our lives. It makes it harder for us to be in community, and it certainly makes it harder for us to be able to truly listen to people who are in pain because our pain builds up. Now, the other fatigue I'd like to talk about is decision fatigue. Decision fatigue, we have a limit. We have a cap on our decision-making ability every day. And it turns out that that's one of the powers of habits. When we develop the habits that we need, we don't have to make a decision about them, because we make decisions all day long. Do I put my brakes on or run this yellow light? Do I say good morning and stop and talk to this person, or ignore them because they were rude to me yesterday? And so all kinds of decisions during the day, right? And, do I have this or that at a restaurant? Do I work on this project or that project next? Whatever. There's a million decisions every day. Not a million, but you get my drift. And it turns out we have a limit to how many decisions we can make. And that's why the habits are so important. The problem being that when we're suffering compassion fatigue, we don't have the margin in our lives to make that one decision that we need to make as to where to start. I know that in my experience, I was overtired, I was overweight, I was cranky, I was struggling with getting things done at home. I was a mess. My desk has been legendary for years on what a mess it's been. And I'm excited because it's not quite as bad as it has always been. It's much, much better now. Decision fatigue makes it hard to decide to do what's right for us. And that's why I teach one small habit. We start now, we start small, we start with one. And I teach a habit of intentional silence for 5 minutes or fewer a day, because that removes that decision. I'll decide it for you. And so if you want to embark on a journey to get healthier, to love yourself enough to do the things that your future self will thank you for, start with that. Start with giving yourself a 5-minute practice of absolute silence where you just listen to yourself breathe for 5 minutes. It's not really meditation, but it's the first step to meditation, and meditation is extremely powerful. That's what I have for you today. It is my delight to be in community with you and to get to pour life into you. And if you need my help, I'm here for you. Thank you.